Hello and welcome to the Illicit Feminine Podcast. I am your host, Elizabeth Marth, and today we are talking about women reclaiming their own sexuality. In fact, for the month of July in Sacred Freedom, that is what this month is all about. I am making the month of July women reclaiming their sexuality. All on my Instagram. I have videos, I have posts. The podcasts are all going to be about women owning their own sexuality. So I first want to start off by saying our sexuality, and I believe the same thing for men, but I'm directing this towards women, is not about another person. It begins within ourselves and it begins with our connection to the divine. I understand there are so many different concepts on sexuality within religions, within social dynamics, within families. However, it's my podcast, right? It's my brand, it's my business. I believe our sexuality is absolutely a gift from the divine. I believe that our pleasure, our delight is a birthright. And when we are using it in a healthy way, that it can bring us to levels of connection with ourselves, levels of connection with the divine, and levels to connection with others that are beyond our wildest dreams. Okay, so let's delve a little into maybe an old school term. Sexuality, especially a woman's sexuality, was once really not her own. It was always about another person. So I'm going to go back historically speaking. It was about a man, regardless of your sexual preference. I'm talking like way back throughout the centuries. It was a transaction. It could be a performance, but it was really about procreation in a lot of ways. It was about the man's satisfaction and it was about a power play in a lot of ways, right? Like in order for populations to populate, they would rape the women in order for the opposing nation to be able to populate that land. How awful, like how awful is this entire concept? I want a whole new definition. And while it has absolutely been evolving throughout time, I don't believe that a woman's sexuality, the definition of that is anywhere where it needs to be. Sexuality is our dynamic and personal expression of our life force energy. So if we are creations of the divine, of God, of this incredible universe, we were given this gift of our bodies, right? This can be funny, right? Because like in energetics, it's all energy. And we know that we belong to spirit. But while we are on earth, we have these beautiful vessels of our body that are meant to be healthy and enjoyed and purposeful while we're here on earth. Okay. So within that, this life force energy is within us that has a natural inclination for desire. I mean, from a young age, right? Babies, whether people want to talk about this or not, babies like to touch themselves. Babies know that they can make themselves feel good. And it's somewhere along the lines, right? Especially back in the day. Although I have heard parents tell their kids it's wrong to touch yourself, like in the last few years, that it's wrong, it's bad. To feel good in your body sexually is something you should be ashamed of. Again, passed on through history, passed on through lineage. Women were taught to be ashamed of their bodies. Women are still taught to be ashamed of their bodies. Don't dress too provocatively. You're not supposed to entice a man. Don't look too good. Women get shamed for that. Don't continue to take care of yourself while you age. This is a big one, and I'll do other podcasts on that, right? You should age gracefully. You should accept, where you are, that you're getting older. And there's absolutely a part of all of that. But there's a lot of shame for women who decide to do surgery. There's a lot of shame for women who decide to do interventions to stay, in their opinions, looking their best. Again, I'm a part of this, so we'll have more podcasts on that. There's a lot of shame around women and their bodies and their sexuality. Back to the definition. Our sexuality is our capacity to feel pleasure and desire within our body, whether that's sexually or whether it's more to do with our senses, which we'll get into. It's our ability to connect with our body. It's our ability to recognize and feel our emotions. It's our ability to feel our desires and our pleasures and to know what we like. It always astounds me because, listen, I didn't actually understand that my sexuality was my own until seriously about 3 years ago. I was so disassociated from my body. I was shamed. I think I've shared this on other podcasts. I'm not even quite sure why, but I grew up with such a shame around my body. And when I began learning that my sexuality didn't have to be about another person, I was actually able to step in and explore like what I liked. I had no idea what I liked. I had no idea how I liked to be touched. I had no idea what I wanted. I felt shame around anything other than really just straightforward missionary sex. Didn't have a connection, didn't understand how that even worked. This has actually probably been about 5 years as I'm looking at time. Not that it matters. But once I was able to understand that my sexuality was actually my own and that I could bring pleasure to myself, again, whether it's sexually or not, it took on a whole new meaning for me. Sexuality is our essence. Sexuality is our femininity. Sexuality is how we feel in our body, our comfort level. How can we take care of ourselves? How can we nurture ourselves? How can we be able to receive? Huge part. Sexuality is being able to receive, whether it's receiving from ourselves, which is where it starts, receiving from God, which is equal to ourselves. We and God, same thing. So anything where I'm talking about ourselves, it's always with God. So if we are able to receive that love, that fullness, that worth from the divine, if we're able to claim that as ourselves, that is going to affect our sexuality hugely. All right. Our sexuality, it includes our boundaries, our yes, our no, and we have to know that for ourselves. Then we get to learn that more with another person. Okay. It's learning what we are available for, what feels good to us, what is a trigger for us, and knowing that we have some work to do around that. It's our curiosity, it's our creativity, it's our erotic energy, right? Like maybe you have kinks. I believe we all have kinks, but like kinks, again, probably another episode, but kinks can be shameful. Like maybe you like to do things that you were taught were bad and you feel really bad about those, like they're wrong and there's shame around that. It's going to affect how you feel about yourself, your needs. We all have different needs. And when we start to explore what it is we personally need without it being about another person, without it being about satisfying another person, again, it opens up a portal to what sexuality means for us. Our sexuality also means learning about our bodies. So many women, myself included, until I took a Mama Gina, Regina Thomas Showers, pleasure boot camp training, fucking amazing. I recommend it to every woman. It's definitely, if you have some sexual shame or some sexual prude-ish, it will scare right out of you in the best possible way. But knowing our bodies. When I was young, my mom gave me a mirror and was like, you need to go learn your body, which is that's a really awkward thing for like a 10-year-old to do, right? It was a really awkward thing for me to do because I felt A, awkward that my mom was even talking to me about this, and B, I already had shame around my sexuality. And I really didn't know what to look for. Women don't know their bodies. There's something crazy, like so many thousand nerve endings in your clitoris. We call it a vagina. It's not. It is a vulva. Your vagina is another part of your anatomy. Your vulva is like the entirety of what we call our vagina. Like we don't even know the right names for it. Like when you think about that concept, men know that they have penises and testicles. Like women are walking around not even calling their vagina, which is actually their vulva, the right name. There's something completely fucked up about that it's 2025 and that's still an unknown for a lot of the population. There's no shame or blame in that. What I'm saying is like, when we think about we don't even know our own bodies, there's not a way that we can be completely connected to our sexuality. And I believe as I am learning more and researching more and studying more and embodying more, our sexuality is the basis of who we are. I've already had a lot of people disagree with me on that. That's fine. Not your jam. It doesn't resonate with you. That's okay. I'm just sharing. I believe our sexuality is so much of who we are. Men know this. Men know that they embody their sexual essence because it's in so much of what they do. But that has been conditioned out of women to believe. And it's not about another person, right? If you watch, men like are so proud of their dicks. Men are so proud of their sexuality. It's not always the same with women. And if it is, that woman can absolutely be deemed as a whore. She can be deemed as a slut. She can be deemed as too full of herself. It is changing in certain circles. My goal is that we have a whole cultural shift, which is happening within the realm of women's sexuality, but we begin to look at all of these things different. We shift our perspectives and we embrace and find our sexual embodiment. It's not so much about sexual freedom, although that's absolutely a piece of it. What I'm really wanting women to understand is that we get to reclaim our own sexuality, that it is nobody else's, but ours as the foundation. Okay. There's a really long definition of modern day sexuality. So the next thing I want to do is go through some statistics that frankly are astonishing, right? Not surprising. I've known this. I know this without even being in my coaching business. I know very few women who are actually satisfied in their sex lives. I mean, you know, some, and they are fucking over the moon satisfied because they have intentionally created that. But a lot of women who are midlife, married, unmarried, not all that satisfied. It's fine. Women also disconnected from their sexuality, not feeling sexual, not feeling desire, not feeling pleasure, in fact, feeling shame around it. So here we go. Okay, sexual disassociation. Nearly 40% of women report some level of sexual dysfunction, including low desire, lack of arousal, difficulty achieving orgasm. This is according to the Journal of the American Medical Association. According to the Kinsey Institute, 1 in 3 women say they have pretended to enjoy sex when they weren't, often out of obligation, fear, or rejection. I have absolutely been there. Most women that I talk to have absolutely been there. This brings up the idea of sexuality as a performance, as a way to please, as a way to feel validated, as a way to get love, as a way to have safety, as a way to have security. You can also bring the financial piece into this. A lot of times when women are financially dependent on men, there is a idea of transaction. I owe him, he takes care of me. Religiously, oh my gosh, I was part of a very conservative church for a while. And the teaching is that a wife is absolutely there to service her husband, to be there for her husband sexually. And even if you don't feel like it, you just need to do it because it is good for you. It's good for your marriage. It's good for him. That fucked with my head a lot. Okay. And caveat, not all religious things are like that. I'm just sharing one of my own personal experiences. Okay. Low desire stems from psychological or emotional wounds. This is not a shock. According to Mayo Clinic, 43% of women experience low sexual desire at some point, often related to stress, relationship dissatisfaction, trauma, or shame, not physical issues. So many times we will blame sexual dissatisfaction within women on physical issues. And don't get me wrong, physical issues will manifest. We can blame it on menopause. We can blame it on dry vagina, dry vulva. We can blame it on painful sex. It's not that those things aren't real. I'm just saying that in certain situations, I always believe there's an emotional element among every disease. However, let's go away from that for a moment. Those things can manifest in our bodies, not due necessarily to hormones. Those things can manifest in our bodies because we are uncomfortable. Our bodies are saying no, and we are having emotional, like PTSD from something. According to the National Health and Social Life Survey, women are twice as likely as men to experience sexual desire problems linked to emotional disconnection or past trauma. Women are mind fucked in sex from a very young age. So many women. For those women who were raised in sexually healthy environments where your mother and father, or 2 mothers, or however you were raised, single mother or 2 dads, whatever the dynamic was, if you were raised emotionally healthy and have a healthy, like sexual worth of yourself, value of yourself, see yourself embodying your sexual essence, and that's never brought you shame, God bless you. Go spread the word. This is not something that is that common among women. So many women that I know, there's either abuse, rape, violence, shame, whether it's from religious, family, cultural. There's trauma sexually amongst so many women that is not discussed at all. At all. Okay. Women's desire, our ability to receive, our ability to feel safe in experiencing pleasure comes from our ability to emotionally feel safe, our ability to physically feel safe, to trust ourselves, to feel like we have a sense of agency, that we're not just doing this to please, which so much of women's sexuality is about. Our ability to let go is based on how safe we feel within ourselves. This is good so much and so important. Okay. Next thing, I've been in all of these, right? Women don't know what they like. I had no fucking clue. I didn't like to be touched because it was not pleasurable for me because I didn't know what I liked and I felt bad and wrong for not knowing what I liked. Okay. According to the archives of sexual behavior, up to 70% of women report faking orgasms at some point. This is actually celebrated in some circles. This is not okay or necessary. Again, did that. Not a way to live. It is cheating yourself primarily. It is not what your partner wants, but we don't know what we like and we hide it and we put it in shadow that we don't know and we don't want to discover. And then we feel shame about it. Only 18% of women report always orgasming during sex compared to 91% of men. Women who always orgasm, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they are intentional as hell about that. They have done their sexuality work. They have done their pleasure work. They have done maybe they've done their emotional work. Maybe they haven't, but they know their bodies. That's the only way you are going to orgasm all the time. You know your body, and it can not really matter whom you're having sex with. You know how to get off. And there are absolutely women out there like this. I have studied under women like this. It didn't start like that, though. It is an intentional practice. 91% of men who almost always orgasm. Are we seeing the imbalance here? Women do not prioritize their orgasm, which is why, bringing it back to women reclaiming their own sexuality, like we get to learn what makes us orgasm. We get to learn what feels good to us. We get to learn our pleasure. There's like the part of that, like women don't explore themselves. They don't get to learn to know themselves. Okay. Sexual shame. It runs so very deep. According to the Sexuality Research and Social Policy Journal, over 60% of women say they felt ashamed of their sexual desires or behaviors at some point in their lives. Absolutely. Religious upbringing, cultural expectations, and gender roles contribute heavily to internalized sexual shame, especially for women raised in conservative or patriarchal environments. Oh my gosh. The conversations I've had with women, especially when I've been in all kinds of religious circles. I was raised Episcopalian until I was then in a Methodist church until I went to college, at which point I completely left church, to which point I then went to a conservative church for quite a while. And then again, I currently don't go to church. I have my own spirituality, but my kids are Catholic. So I frequently go to mass, and the realm of the spectrum of women and their own sexuality, I hear it from my kids' teachers in ways. You hear it all over. It's astounding in ways is very damning to a woman and her sexuality and her independence and her autonomy. Not all religions. I want to be really careful with my words. There can be a lot of trauma around this. So really understanding the shame around our sexuality and where it came. I mean, I don't know if we need to understand where it came from. The fact that we just even recognize that it's there and that we get to heal it and release it is so important as we are developing a deeper connection with our own sexuality, really creating a space for no judgment, like rewriting truths, but understanding what shaped the false truths. Okay. Women are hungry for sexual empowerment. We know this. We know this. Even if you don't know it, like inside of you knows it. Like the higher version of you, your divine like self knows this. According to a Modern Intimacy survey in 2022, A result found 78% of women want to feel more connected to their sensual sexual energy, but don't know where to start. Fair enough. The rise of somatic healing, embodiment practices, and trauma-informed coaching shows women are actively seeking new pathways to reclaim their bodies and pleasure. This is a cultural turning point. Women do want more. Women are talking about sex more. And I have this conversation, which is one of the reasons I really wanted to open up and have these conversations on the Illicit Feminine Podcast. You have a spectrum. Like, you have people that talk about sex all day long. I love to listen to podcasts about women being like porn stars and liking to be, I don't even know what the appropriate term is, so forgive me. I like call it gangbanged. I don't know if it's something else, but have man after man after man. Okay, there's like this world that talks about it in all kinds of things, all kinds of explicit detail. And then you have people that talk about it more. But I don't think there's such a space where it is such a huge conversation, especially around the shame and the pieces that might not be the whole light side of women's sexuality amongst midlife women. I think the younger people are having conversations about it, but this is why I want to start talking about this more. And I believe more women want this too. There is a cultural turning point. Women are understanding that they get to be empowered in their own sexuality. They are no longer wanting to be passive participants. Like, they want to understand their bodies more. They want to know more about themselves. So in all of this, there's got to be a redefining of women's sexuality. There's got to be a learning and understanding, a new perspective, a shift, a reclaiming, a coming home. And this is what I'm so excited to continue talking about this month. Thank you so much for all being part of this conversation. And I look forward to continuing it next week. Have a great week.